The world of international 10-pin bowling has really opened up wide in the last 12 to 15 months with the World Tour, which means that players from the United States, Europe, Asia and the Far East all play in the same tournaments held all around the world. And as you mentioned, Mika is the #1 ranked player just at the moment, crossing the head pin, leaving the standing 6-pin up there. And his opponent, Mike Fagan, is ranked #2. So on paper, we're going to say that these are the top 2 players in the world going head-to-head over 10 frames.
Yeah, the cream of the crop up against each other in Game 2 here at Weber Cup 13. USA chalking up the first point after that Baker win. And out comes the spare ball a little too early, I think, for Koivuniemi's liking. He hasn't looked comfortable, I have to say, on this single show lane. And I think it's just going to take a little bit of time for him to get used to the conditions. But Koivuniemi's the kind of bowler that once he gets used to it, once he finds his line, then he will rack up the big numbers, and that's what Team Europe need from him. Mike Fagan, a classic bowler, this man, and I mean, Cass, I could watch him bowl all day. You can see why he is called the king of swing.
Very high backswing, very smooth follow through, lots of rotation on the ball, and can't quite kick that 10-pin out in the corner. It was a great looking shot and probably deserved 10, but it's the 10-pin in the corner that stood up, so this can only be a spare. But Simon, Mike Fagan is very much the form man. He's won earlier 2 big tournaments in the USA. He's won the US Masters earlier, then travelled to Europe and won the Brunswick Euro Challenge in Paris, which we were fortunate to be there and see. So he really is in top form at the moment.
Yes, ditch the spiky flat top these days. Going for a completely different look.
When I first saw Mika back in about 1997, he actually had a full head of hair and was a bit of a mullet because he had a ponytail as well. But as you say, not these days.
There we go. There we go. That's the line I was talking about. And he's done that very carefully indeed. Just a little adjustment at the line with the feet. And Cass, a very different looking shot here in terms of what the ball does for Mike Fagan.
Well, he's playing a totally different part of the lane. Gets the ball still out wide, and oh, go for it! Oh dear, oh dear. A wobbling 6-pin doesn't go. Now he's playing almost coast to coast, what we say. He's starting way left on the approach with the ball, throwing it out to the right, using the full width of the lane and getting it to come back. In comparison, Mika is throwing more or less a straight ball down the outside, letting it hook up back to the pocket. This can only be a spare for Fagan, hard and straight.
2 spares in a row, so he stays clean. Welcome back to Weber Cup 13. Nothing between these 2 bowlers, ranked #1 and 2 on the World Bowling Tour.
You're quite right about the oil. They can't see where the oil is, and the bowling ball going down the lane moves it around. And so 1 minute it's there, and the next minute it's not there. It makes changes. Mika leaves a single 4-pin.
Well, he lofted that one so high, he got a double bounce on that.
A single pin spare.
So Team USA still with a minor advantage, and those maximums apply if the players were to strike off from here right through to the end of the game. Then that's what they would score.
When they're brand new, you've really got to be very, very precise. You have to be in the pocket with the right rotation, the right speed, and hopefully set up that chain reaction that's going to give you the strike.
Fagan. There we go. There we go. He's taken it all on board and come up with a quite beautiful shot there.
Yeah, better reaction in the back end.
There you go. It sounds quite faint, but when you're right next to the bowlers, it's louder. That's the thumb coming out of the ball. And I'm afraid it's not coming out quite right for Mika at the moment.
He's almost embarrassed at that shot. I mean, it was a fabulous looking shot right in the 1-3 pocket. The ball is so strong and powerful, though. It's cut through between the 1 and the 3-pin. Should have gone onto the 5-pin and then deflected onto the 9-pin, but there was so much power. It didn't deflect from the 5, went straight through and left the solitary stone 9-pin, as they say. And that, unfortunately, should have been a strike. It was only a spare.
So more pressure onto those experienced shoulders. Major Mika, not one to hold back up there. He'll show his feelings.
Yeah, that would have to get translated. It's Fagan working on a strike, looking for a double. And unusually with these number 1 and 2 player in the world, it's not a double. We haven't had a double yet.
This is a scrap, isn't it?
Well, it's they're locking horns, aren't they? Chris Barnes, the American captain's having a bit of problem as well. He's wonders why there's not enough more strikes. Oscar's telling him that Mika's the man.
I bet Professor Barnes has got a few theories, though. That's for sure. Fagan then to tidy up. The second 10-pin spare that he's had to make so far in this game.
The scores are level after 3 frames. A long way to go.
That's much more like it. A convincing strike there from Mika.
Yes, Dominic Barrett liked that one. Tells his captain he did. And yeah, it was a great looking shot. Lofted it down the lane. Lots of rotation on the ball. Hit perfectly right in the 1-3 pocket. Carried all 10. So whatever Mika's done, Mike Fagan has to do.
Yes, cue the song. Anything you can do. Fagan. Oh, he doesn't like it. Doesn't like it. You may have seen him just look away after that release because he knew that it was going to cut up and go through the head pin.
Pins. The 1-3 pocket we talk about. So hard and straight again. And a spare, but he falls 11 pins behind now.
We've seen the last twist in this particular match.
Well, we're at the halfway stage, and this is frame number 6 with Mika coming up, looking for 2 strikes in a row, and absolutely drills it, buries it deep in the pocket, and that's 2 strikes he's looking for. Well done.
That the ball doesn't hit all the pins in a strike; it's the pins hitting other pins that gets you the strike.
Yes, it's a chain reaction, and you're quite right.
Oh no! No!
Dear, oh dear. We've seen that before this evening. The 7-10 off of a pocket hit. I'm going to tell you about these pins, which are brand spanking new, and they're chiseled bottoms, but you have to hit them hard to get them down, and the 7-10 is going to be an open frame for Mike Fagan, which unfortunately is just may well be the turning point in this game.
Well, I think it's a bit of everything. I think it's some nerves. I think it's
they're not just bowling for themselves; they're bowling for their teammates and for their country or continent.
Trying to jump over that open frame, and he doesn't. That's what you need to do in this sort of format. If your opponent throws an open, you've got to stamp on it, and Koivuniemi hasn't done it, and effectively he's let Fagan off the hook there.
Well, I mean, he can make a spare here, which after a double is quite good, but yeah, he could have extended his lead.
Well, the commentator's curse strikes, I'm afraid. Never looked comfortable, did he?
Simon, it's all my fault. I shouldn't have said that he's going to spare these easily. This is a hard spare ball. It goes straight. It shouldn't hook at all. And it pretty much doesn't, does it? It just chops that 6-pin straight off the 10. And he's looking for it. And it's not worked. Open frame. Oh, dear, Mika. And you can tell by the look on his face. Absolute anguish.
Praying for the square one. I'll tell you what, in the land of only one strike, a double would make you king.
Absolutely, yes. And there's the king of swing, right on cue, straight in the pocket, and strikes in frame number 7. Oh, he stays all level between Europe and USA on that maximum 225.
Well, that's how things stand, and that's a pretty messy scorecard for 2 such quality performers, and they'll be the first to tell you.
Well, it's interesting, Simon. These guys play on the American tour and also around the world, and they do actually appear on television quite a good, considerable amount of times under pressure like this. But as I say, it seems to be getting to them. And there's Mika straight through the head pin, leaving the 3, 6, and the 10.
Oh, this is painful.
High on the head pin, didn't make the pocket, and this is. Almost a similar spur to the one he missed in the last frame.
It's always a tricky subject to try and discuss because there aren't a lot of analogies.
Onto the dry patch, and that's where the power comes the drive. The ball rotates into power, hooks up and hits those pins. I was almost going to say just like that, but that's a really good pocket shot. It leaves a solid stone ball as it goes into the pocket. It just doesn't deflect off the pins. It keeps driving through, and that's why you sometimes leave up a back pin like the 9-pin just there, and that can only be a spare off of really a great looking shot.
Just a little less loft on that one, and that's a beautiful shot from Mika Koivuniemi. And Team Europe have a real chance now.
I kind of got the feeling that he may have moved his feet left on the approach there just to get a different angle, but he's stuck with it. And he's just got that ball for a little bit further down the lane before it starts to bite back, and it's gone right in the pocket. It's a big ball for Mike Fagan. Working on a spare. After that solid 9-pin. Can he bury this one and carry all 10? No, he can't.
It's fine, but these guys have got their pride. Takes out the 10-pin. But Mike Fagan now reliant on Mika Koivuniemi. Opportunity to level the scores in Weber Cup 13. Ideally wants to strike it off through the 10th. Oh, no. No. He's left a single pin on the other side of the rack now. And it's all gone very close again.
A spare and a strike here, and he will shut Fagan out. Fagan won't have to get up and bowl his last ball because he can't win.
It's the first part of the equation, but this is still just settling himself down. This is huge in terms of this Weber Cup.
Well, it's quite simple in this shot. He needs a strike to win. Strike here will give him 195. If Fagan strikes out 3 times in the 10th frame, he will only score 194. So this is the big ball. It's not been the greatest game. It's certainly not been the highest game. But a point is a point.
Koivuniemi, Team Europe need all 10 here. They've got them. They've got them. And that's the way to do it. If you get a chance to close the door, close it. And there's our first Moose celebration of Weber Cup 13. So up steps Fagan just to finish things off. He wants another little look at this lane. He knows he can't win this match, but they will not pass up a ball or two.
Well, isn't it ironic that he strikes now when it's too late? He's had 2 great looking shots in frames 8 and 9, left a single pin standing, and now when it's all over, he gets a strike. The odds are that he may get another one, especially if the crowd help him out a bit. And they are. So come on, Mike, bury one in the pocket.
Finally gets a messenger across to the 10.
And also took advantage of changing the ball there. So he's just experimented with a different ball to see if he gets a different reaction. And maybe we'll be using that one in the upcoming matches.
Yeah, good spot, Cass. But Koivuniemi, is that a faint smile just across the corners of the mouth there for Major Mika? So Fagan then to finish off. Plenty to think about for Fagan and the American team. And the machine gets down before that pin can drop. Well, in the end, a very scrappy contest between those two. I think Kaz Edwards quite right in saying that the lane was the winner. But in terms of this Weber Cup, it's Mika Koivuniemi that actually records the score, and Team Europe get their first point on the board at Weber Cup 13. Confirmation then of that result. 195 plays 193. 2 scores that both men would wish to forget. But it's Koivuniemi.